going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It's another Chaos to Come Back video. If you're new to the channel, this is the documentary of a guy who had everything, lost everything, starting over from zero at 49 years old. You'll watch some more videos if you want to know the whole story. Don't really ever know what I'm going to talk about on one video to the next, but if you're a fan of the channel, if you are if you're down with what I'm doing, throw a thumbs up, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It helps. It definitely helps. We got the troll. I got a troll that this guy must have got real butthurt. He's got like 25 fucking YouTube accounts. And the dude just would show up and leave a shitty comment on every video and even pretend to have conversations with other bots. But you can tell when you have almost no followers and when you have like the very little traffic that I'm getting, it's easy to see patterns repeat themselves. And so you can tell when it's the same guy showing up over and over again. Well, he got butthurt because I kicked off all of his troll channels, his troll accounts. I deleted them so he can't post here anymore. So now every time I post a video, I don't know what this motherfucker has going on in his life, but it must not be much, because within like 2 minutes of a video going live, there'll be 2 thumbs down right off the bat. This guy waits, and he logs in with multiple accounts to bash the thumbs down button now because he's mad because I kicked him off the channel and won't let him leave his dumbass troll comments. So now I need more people to leave thumbs up so that the algorithm will behave, will do what it does. But this happened, like, YouTube's stats are extremely accurate and informative, and I can go right back to the day that I started kicking this guy off, and I can see exactly, boom, here's where it started. So there's this dude who has nothing else to do but wait until a video goes live on the channel so that he can be right on it to be like, bash the thumbs down button. So whatever, dude, this guy, he has to come and shit on me every day because he's angry or something, calling me a fucking loser. But you're the one who has absolutely nothing better to do than to wait and be at the ready as soon as a video goes live. I mean, the notifications must be working, because he's on it. Like, as soon as the video goes up, bam, he's there. It's like, Jesus, dude, get a fucking life. Fuck, man, some of the fucking losers you come across in this world are just mind-blowing. But anyway, I am the biggest obstacle in the Chaos to comeback story right now for me is just reclaiming my time and energy. I've been talking about this for a bit. So I'm trying to stick to a schedule that I laid out on a calendar for the week. This is what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. It never goes according to plan. But nothing ever goes according to plan. So, I mean, I think this will be helpful. And what I'm doing, at least for a couple of weeks, is I'm laying out, like, every minute, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. But then I will rearrange the schedule as to what really happened. So yesterday, I had to meet with a client in the morning. I scheduled 2 hours for that. It took an hour and 15 minutes. Cool. Got a little time back. Started to do my laundry. I thought laundry would take Now, laundry is something I can do along with other things because it's just me walking back and forth to do this, do that, a few minutes here, a few minutes there. But I kind of have to plan for, I can't dig deep into anything because if I'm constantly having to get up away from my desk and go over there and do laundry over and over again. You can see in the background, I got chaos surrounding me this week. Clothes that need put away, dishes need done. I got a stack of water bottles to fill with my water filter that'll take days. Things have gotten behind in the last, just all it takes is 2 weeks of things slipping before it becomes a nightmare to fix. One of the things I have to do once a month, but I do it once a week. I have to track all of my financial stuff. I don't make squat. I'm not even making 25 grand a year right now. But I still have to track where the money goes, where it's coming from, and just kind of put it all together. I have to report all this to a probation officer. So once a month, I have to really like nail it down and make sure that it's all there, because you got to tell this guy, I got to send him paycheck stubs and invoices and people's payments of the invoices and proof that I'm working. It's all proof that I'm working. That's what they're looking for. Then they want to know what you're spending money on, and like they want to know every aspect of your life. So the more diligent I am about it, the less this guy's going to be up my ass. So that's the way I look at it. So laundry, I thought I'd be done doing the laundry by 4. And by done, I mean all the clothes are dry and in my clothes bucket back there, waiting to be folded and put away. That's a separate chore at this point. But they weren't, so I started at 11 a.m. and I hang things up on a clothesline to dry. Everything, it wasn't completely done until 7 o'clock last night, to where I had all the clothes off the line and put away and everything. It wasn't like I was working from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., but that's how long it took before I could take the clothesline down and just put it all away and call it done. So that was something on the board, 3 extra hours there. It really didn't get in the way of other things because I had things, excuse me. I don't know why every single time I hit this record button on YouTube, I get a frog in my throat now. Like, I don't know, it might be a message from God, I don't know. Because I can talk all day long without this. As soon as I hit that button to record for you guys, boom. Isn't there like a fairy tale about that or something? Where I don't know. I know it's annoying. It's annoying me. So I had to do that. I had to do the probation report, and in order to do that, I've got to organize all this crap. I had like an hour set aside for that. Took 4.5 hours to do it yesterday. And there's a few reasons why. I had fell behind on it for over a week. And then there's just different little things going on. And I remember back when I actually had money and actually had multiple accounts and credit cards and all those different things and what goes what and all these different bills that had to be paid, and way more complicated than what life is now. Way more complicated. If I fell behind for 2 weeks, that's a day of my life to fix that problem and to update all of that stuff so that I know what's going on and can see it, and here's what bills have to be paid when, and don't be late. I started doing it meticulously after I made 1 or 2 late credit card payments, and late by like a day late, where I woke up and was like, oh, I forgot that bill was due today. And the credit cards, oh my God, you pay 1 day late on a credit card, you got a $50 late fee. $50 for paying a bill 1 day late. So I was like, this can't happen again. And so I started meticulously doing this, and just tracking so that I know that, and putting dates on the calendar or Google that I look at every day, so that I'm like, okay, don't, and then making sure I'm paying these things a week before they're due, just, in case I forget or don't have time or whatever. So just getting organized like that. So I'm trying to follow that same pattern while I have no money, so that when things start to roll, I don't fall out into a bad habit. But yesterday took 4.5 hours to do all that crap. A lot of it just has to do with moving pennies around. I get somebody drops, so just in general, somebody drops, if somebody drops money in the digital chicken bucket at donate.litgood.com, which is awesome. Somebody did that. A couple people did that. Small amounts, but it's whatever. It's grocery money. It's paid for my breakfast to when I go to the bakery. Whatever. It all goes to the greater good. But there's the donation, which is a transaction. Money comes into that account. Then there's Square takes a transaction fee. Then there's 2 transactions when the money goes to the checking account, an outgoing transfer and an incoming transfer. So there's 4 transactions to enter in your bookkeeping software just for that, what essentially is one thing. Somebody puts money in the chicken bucket and it's boom, 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 boom. Because I got to track, like, okay, I can pull up a chart that says, here's all the money I paid in transaction fees. Here's this, here's that, here's this other thing. It's all there, but it's 4 transaction entries for one thing. And so you multiply that by everything that happens in a week. I made 25 cents on a stock photo sale, and it goes in there. When you reach a certain amount in those accounts, the stock photography account, you get $25 in there. It goes to a PayPal or this or that. I had to open a new PayPal account so that I can get paid from those places when they hit their threshold. And so whatever, if I send out an invoice, it's basically called double entry accounting. If you're a business owner, you know this. That's how QuickBooks works. Anybody who uses QuickBooks understands this. So if I bill a client, there's a receivables account. It's like a fictional account. It's not a real bank account at an actual bank somewhere or whatever. It's an accounting of, here are all the people that owe me money right now. They have been sent an invoice. There's a due date on that. There's money expected to be coming in. Receivables, that's what that is. That's what that word means. So then when somebody pays me, when I receive the money, then that I deposit it in my bank, but in the book, in my software, it shows up as a transfer from account receivable to a bank account. So there's 3 transactions there. There's the invoice that goes out, and now that shows up on the ledger as money that's supposed to come in. And then when it does come in, it's an outgoing from receivables and an incoming into a bank account. So that's 3 transactions every time I have an invoice. So you just multiply that by everything going on. And it was way more, like I said, it was way more complicated back in the day when I actually had a career and money and, a home and things like that. And back then, if I fell behind for a couple of weeks, the only way I could get caught back up would be to dedicate an hour of my day for several days. Because I couldn't just take an 8-hour day to get caught up on that crap. But if I spent an hour at a time, boom, 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 over the course of a week or 2, I could get back in sync. And then as long as I did it once or twice a week, it would never take me more than an hour. But there were times I would travel. I would get in my pickup truck or my Jeep and go on a 2 to 3 week trip. And you're pretty much living off the seat of your pants at that point. I'm not taking the time to sit down and do all these digital chores, housekeeping chores. And so when I get back from something like that, then I'm wiped out and tired, so another week goes by, and another week maybe. So before you know it, you're a month and a half behind on all that stuff. And that's when it's like, 8 to 10 hours to get caught up on that. But the only way to do it is to block out an hour at a time. 1 to 2 hours per day over the course of a week, you'll get caught back up. And so there's a lot of things going on in my world right now that are behind, that I just need to dedicate a certain amount of time every day to get caught back up on. And yesterday, but now that I'm putting it all in a calendar, every time a thought comes into my mind, oh, you've got to do this, find a spot on the calendar, put it in the calendar, make it in there so that you can see how much time you're either wasting or how much time you actually have, or you need to be, it's a way to prioritize things. I'm just trying different things to try and figure out what works for me. I don't think the meticulous calendar thing is going to last very long, but it'll help maybe push me in the right direction. Yesterday, I got sidetracked because, I mean, the laundry didn't really, it's not a thing that gets in the way, but it takes time to go and, turn clothes and flip them and move them from one thing to another. And, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there over the course of, but now I'm aware that when I start laundry at 11 a.m., I'm probably going to be screwing around with laundry throughout the day until about 7 o'clock at night. So in future weeks, I'll block that out as a longer time. And then I'll just make sure that when laundry's on the, when I'm doing it, I can do other things that need to be done that vibe with that. I'm not going to be able to sit in front of my computer and concentrate for 4 hours at a time when I've got to get up every 20 minutes to go change the washing machine around and stuff. It certainly beats the crap out of having to go to a laundromat. That would take half of my day right there, gone. Nothing else could get done. At least with the laundry being done here at the house, even I don't have a washing machine hookup or a dryer hookup in this place, or I would have got a regular washing machine and a dryer and been done with it. So that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. It's a challenge that's specific to this place that I chose to live. There were other places that had washer and dryer hookups, but I would have had to, the one place in particular didn't have any appliances. I would have had to buy a refrigerator, a stove, an oven, a washer and dryer, and before I know it, thousands of dollars, aside from the cost of moving. But I'm trying to reclaim enough time so that when I do my freelance work, I'm getting enough billable hours to dig myself out of this financial problem I'm in right now. The work's on the table. I got to get it done. But yesterday, because of between the probation report that I have to fill out every month and the things that I have to attach to that report and the finagling and organizing that I have to do before I do the report, I had scheduled that to not take and go past 5 o'clock in the afternoon because I thought updating my financial stuff would take an hour, maybe 2. I think I scheduled it for 2. And then doing the probation report is about an hour, and that's the actual logging in and doing the report takes like 5 to 10 minutes, let's say 15 minutes. It's all the stuff I have to do before I log in. And if I do it up front, If I log in and then try to do it, then I'm going to be logged into that website for an hour. But if I do everything up front, and I know what questions, I know what I have to fill out every month. So I just make sure I know all the answers before I even log into that antiquated website. And so then I don't have problems and I can just be in and out, boom, boom, in, out, 10, 15 minutes. But, it just pushed everything kicked the can down the road. My entire day yesterday was consumed by pretty much that. It was supposed to be house cleaning day aside from that. Didn't get done. Didn't even get my cold brew coffee going. I had one jar. I made one jar of cold brew coffee, threw it in the fridge so that I'd have some for today because I was almost out. I was supposed to have 3 gallons in there. So I did have it blocked out today to shoot a YouTube video. I rearranged it because I just wasn't feeling like doing the other. I rearranged the blocks today. I'm waking up about a half hour later than I want, which isn't a big deal. This morning, yesterday, sometimes I need to chill in the morning. Sometimes I need a long, just sit and relax morning. Monday was hectic. Yesterday morning was a little less hectic, but hectic. Today I just decided, you know what? I'm going to chill for an extra hour and just sit and relax and ease into the day. Then I'm like, okay, the next thing to do a YouTube video. That's a warm-up to get into my day. Once I'm done shooting this video, I've got 9 hours of freelance work ahead of me today. And I'll do it. The things that will probably get pushed off the table will be organizing and cleaning my house, because I have to do the freelance work. So it's like I have to brew the cold brew coffee today, but I don't even have, like, it's chaos. There's definitely, I feel like right now it's more chaos this week than comeback. So, but if I'm gonna do 9 hours of freelance work, there's no time. I mean, there's maybe I'll find an hour to do some of the house cleaning. If I need to take a break from sitting in front of the computer, I'll go wash some dishes. I'll do something productive. This happened a couple times when I was living at the tool shed. I got way behind on a couple of things, and finally I just had to stop what I'm doing and just get up and fix those things that were driving me nuts. And I may reach that point this week, but right now I just gotta stick with the plan. If I stick with the plan, I'll be able to send another invoice out Friday. That'll be nice. It'll help. And I'm trying to do this on a weekly basis instead of like once or twice a month. And so if I just generally stick to the plan, I don't have to follow it precisely, because a plan is a plan. It's not an actual thing until you make it so. As a photographer, traveling photographer, I would plan, sometimes very meticulously, plan a sunset photograph. This is where I'm going to be. This is the time the sun sets. This is what I expect to be doing. If it's overcast when you get there and there's no sun, you're not getting a sunset photo. If the chemtrails, if the zigzaggy patterns in the sky, all the crisscross lines that the chemtrail planes are spraying all day up in the sky have created a haze to where the sun is kind of shining through this god-awful mess of shit in the sky, you're not going to get a good sunset photo that day either. So nature or man can foil those plans. What are you going to do? Okay, there's I'm not just going to turn around and get back in the vehicle and leave. I'm just going to try to salvage the situation and find something out of it. If it's cloudy and raining, if there's no sunset photo, okay, is there something that the lighting condition that I have, is there something here to shoot that the lighting condition actually works for? On a bright sunny day, there are certain things in the middle of the day that are really good to shoot. Buildings, architecture, cities, things like that that the lighting, the harsh sunlight makes things look better. But when you're in the middle of the woods, harsh, bright sunlight with no clouds in the sky totally destroys what you see when you're in the woods, in the trees, because the way the light shines through the trees leaves patterns of light of hot spots and dark spots. It basically creates this like camouflage effect, and you can't actually see what the subject is. So when it's overcast and you're in the middle of the forest, all of a sudden everything is crisp and clear, and there's no harsh shadows destroying what you're looking at, and so those end up being good photos. And so every condition, rain. I was taking a photo of a waterfall one day, and it started downpouring, and I decided to wait around for a few minutes, and sure enough, within like 10-15 minutes, the amount of water coming over this waterfall quadrupled, and it created a much better waterfall picture. In fact, I could play a time lapse I could like go in my camera and kind of scroll back and forth and see like a time lapse of the water getting more and more crazy as the flash flood ensued. And so you just got to work with what you're given. So that's the same thing when you're trying to schedule out your day. It's like, yeah, I've got a plan of what I'm going to do today, but then I wake up and the day is going to kind of dictate what may or may not happen today. So yesterday, not having all the unexpected things taking longer than they should have yesterday made it so I was gonna get my kitchen clean and cook dinner. Well, that's not happening. That got pushed right off that got thrown off the edge of the table quick. So for the first time since I've been out of prison, I ordered delivery for food. First time ever. I was gonna eat something. I gotta eat something healthy and light on the calories because I'm getting fat. Like, I hit my maximum weight today because of what I did yesterday. I ordered pizza for the first time since I've been out of prison. And it didn't, calorie wise, forget it. That was not the right thing to do yesterday. Reclaiming my time and energy also means getting healthy and having more energy. And I let yesterday's workload and everything getting pushed. I didn't get my probation thing done until about 8:30, 9 o'clock last night. I was expecting to be done with that by like 5 or 4. I don't remember exactly when I had thought I would be done, but everything got pushed 4 or 5 hours into the future to the point where my whole evening was wiped out. And so I ordered pizza because then I could eat, relax for a few, and not dirty any more dishes and not have to cook anything and spend time on it. So I got Brothers Pizza, which some people on the channel here told me about this place, Brothers Pizza in Houston. And I guess there's more than one location, but they recommended it. And when I lived in the tool shed, it was right next door. I mean, I could walk over there. It was right on the way when I would go grocery shopping. I walked past this place all the time. So finally, I stopped there one day and got a Stromboli. It was pretty good. But it was the last week that I lived in the tool shed. So I'm 3 miles away from the place. I'm in their delivery zone. And so I was pressed with time yesterday, and I decided to cave in and order something from them. I just got cheese pepperoni and cheese pizza just to see what that was all about. But they have a delivery minimum order, so I ordered a meatball sub. And I figured whatever's left over goes in the freezer. I'll just eat off of that for the next couple of days. And if you throw leftover pizza, don't put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer. You put that in the oven for 400 degrees, whatever, just like a frozen pizza. It's way better leftover pizza doing it that way. If you put it in the fridge, the refrigerator will just kill it. Throw that shit right in the freezer. When you go to reheat your leftover pizza, ideally throw it on a pizza stone in the oven. Right now I've got a cast iron pan. I'll just throw it on there. Almost the same effect, but the result is way better. So I had some cash to pay the driver. I was like, yeah, let's just get a pizza today, and that way I can keep working on this stuff. And then when the pizza gets here, I can take a break, and then I can just go right back to it. And it all worked out. It was all right. I mean, I would say a meatball sub is a good test for a pizza shop if you're not in the mood for pizza. My two favorite pizza shops in Pennsylvania, I cannot remember the name of the one where I lived in Mercer, but the one in Pittsburgh is called Fiore's. And both of the places have really good meatball subs, but the one in Mercer had this meatball pizza that was just out of this world. Oh, so good. I don't know, Brothers Pizza, it's like New York style thin crust pizza. It was okay. It wasn't bad. I would get it again, but it's not like, ooh, I gotta get that. Like Fiore's, if I'm in Pittsburgh, I'm gonna want some of that. Like, definitely gotta go there. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I gotta go get me some of that Brothers Pizza. It's just a pizza. It's nothing crazy, nothing. Just New York, straight up New York style thin crust pizza was good, but wasn't like anything I'm gonna write home about. So I don't know. Maybe there's a better. I mean, it's Houston. Houston's not known. If you want the food that's known for your area, you got to go get some tacos and things like that. So up in Pittsburgh, there's you're gonna get different. If you go to Philly, you get a cheesesteak, right? So anyway, that's basically what went down. That's what went down yesterday, and I've got some more stuff to talk about. I'm going to read you some viewer comments. This kind of goes along with the whole, thumbs down thing that's going on now, because this douchebag troll got mad that I won't let him troll on the channel anymore. So now the only thing he has the power to do is give a thumbs down. As soon as the video shows up, boom, thumbs down. 2 or 3. Like within like less than a minute of the video going live, I can look at I can go there and see, and there'll be like 2 or 3 thumbs down. Like, that's not even enough time to watch the video and see what's in it. You're just showing up to be like, oh, gotta get my thumbs down for today. Fucking douchebags. But this is what people do. If you're gonna be on YouTube, you're gonna be dealing with a bunch of scumbags and trolls and douchebags. And now, that's not the proper introduction for this guy, Dave Gass. because he's not a douchebag. He's a cool dude. I would have a beer with this guy all day. Somebody left a comment that I got to respond to, and it's just better to respond in the videos sometimes. It says, Adam, it's your channel and you can obviously do what you want, but I go on YouTube to be entertained or enjoyment and not listen about child molesting and all that Epstein Island crap. But I have incredible concert stories on 59, so I'm a generation ahead of you. Play friend, his uncle was the promoter around New England. We would go from Boston to Cape Cod, Providence, Connecticut on the same tour of a rock band. I got to meet so many bands. Well, that's fun. That's cool. Especially like concerts are ridiculous now. Price-wise, you know, I went to Ozfest and saw like 19 bands, and it was like $50. I saw Ozzy with his own music and Black Sabbath at the end of the night, plus Pantera and a whole bunch of other bands. $50. Now you go to a concert, it's like $150 for lawn seats. Like, but it has more to do with bands back in the day when a band would go on tour, they lose money. The concerts themselves are a loss on the books because they're just out promoting a new album. And so the album sales are what would make up for the loss of money going on tour. Now the bands have to make a profit on tour because they're not making shit for the money for the album sales, because it's all Spotify and iTunes and they get paid like a penny a song. You know what I mean? So it's different now. I get the logistics of it. But no, okay, so that's fine. But like this Epstein Island crap, this is the common thing. When you start telling people the truth about something, they don't want to hear it, and they just want to close their ear. I don't want to hear about that crap. I don't want to know what's going on. I don't want to hear that. I didn't come. I get that. I don't want to listen to, I don't want to do. We all have our entertainment, right? I'm watching the Tour de France. I'm on stage 20 of 21 now. The tour ended like a week and a half ago, and I'm still watching it. Entertainment. It's entertainment. That's what it is. I'm not, and sometimes it's kind of like, I learn a few things here and there and whatnot, but that's my escape from the Epstein Island bullshit and the politics and everything. So I get, fine. But this whole I don't want to hear about that crap. Why do you keep talking about that shit? Blah, blah, blah. Nobody's telling anybody they have to come watch my channel. And the stats show that. People agree with what I just said for sure. Because depending on what trend I'm on, it shows in the viewership. But there's a level of apathy in our society that when Jesus comes back, I think he's going to have a bigger problem with the people that are just full of apathy more than the people that did the bad things. The people that are just like, I don't want to hear about those kids getting raped on a private island. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to hear about that. Well, what about the victims? You know what I mean? How do you feel? How would you feel if you're that woman, Virginia Guthrie, who got raped on Jeffrey Epstein Island, and then, everybody around her, shut the fuck up, we don't want to hear about that anymore. How do you think that makes her feel? I got raped by all these fucking scumbag, elitist pedophiles, Prince Andrew, Bill Gates, whoever took a turn riding that fucking train. And now she has to hear all this apathy. Fuck, I don't want to hear about that shit. I'm too busy watching football to give a fuck about that. And then this girl, she tries speaking out about it and all of a sudden she's in a massive car accident and she's in the hospital for a period of time, and then all of a sudden she magically commits suicide, probably with 2 bullets to the back of her head or whatever, however the Clintons usually do it. And people are still, I don't want to hear about that shit. I just want my beer and football. And, it's that apathy that enables the people to do this shit to us. If we live in a society where elites can just steamroll over the population and do whatever the fuck they want to you, that's how you end up with Joseph Stalin. That's how you end up with Hitler. That's how you end up with these fucking people in charge, because they prey on the apathy of the public. As long as the general public got their beer and their football and their paycheck and their nice house, you got a nice house. Oh, as long as I've got everything I want, I ain't got to worry about all that shit going on, and I don't want to hear about it because that's just too much. And so it's like, God's going to come back and he's going to have a fun. And I'm not innocent of apathy. I've got plenty of apathy towards different people and situations myself. I'm not innocent of that. I'm just saying that the apathy of these things, especially when people close their ears and shut their eyes to the truth and don't want to hear the truth and just keep, because it interferes with my make-believe world of tranquility that I've built around me, and my walls of all I care about is beer and football and my job and my paycheck and, playing with my kids and whatnot. And none of these things are bad things. But the fact that nobody gives a fuck, or the people that, the fact that the majority of the people, let's talk about TWA Flight 800. All those people died in a plane crash off the coast of Long Island. And when the FBI was investigating it, hundreds of witnesses said they saw something come up and then an explosion. And the FBI was like, no, they're a bunch of liars. They didn't see that. The wings fell off. Shit happens. And move on. You want to talk about that? Nobody's going to want to listen to you after the 3-day news cycle's over with. But some people will. But I would say it's like I would say that, maybe 2 out of 20 people might be interested in hearing the truth, and then the other 18 don't give a fuck and don't want to hear it, never want to hear it. We're not even going to ever talk about that again. And it's like, well, what if it was you? What if it was your family? What if it was your wife? What if it was your brother, sister, child? What if your child got raped on Jeffrey Epstein Island? Would you want people to not talk about that anymore? Would you tell your kid after coming back from Jeffrey Epstein's Island rape festival to shut the fuck up? I don't want to hear about that anymore. And so that's the problem. That's how they get away with this shit. That's how the people in charge keep fucking us over day after day, because as long as it doesn't affect you directly, then it doesn't matter. We don't have to talk about this. And then when it does affect you directly, guess what? Nobody's going to give a fuck when you talk about it, and people are just going to tell you to shut the fuck up and move on, because we don't want to talk about that today. We just want to watch our football games and listen to our music and be left the fuck alone. And now you will understand what the apathy does. If you've experienced something like that, believe me, when you get arrested by the FBI over social media posts, and then everybody you ever knew turns their back on you and doesn't want anything to fucking do with it, then you'll find out. You'll find out how much people don't give a fuck about you real fast. Or anything. There are so many different ways it could happen. You could get injured and be unable to provide for your family or whatever, and all of a sudden you're a pariah. You could be old. How many people get old? How many people have old relatives that they just want to cast them off to the fucking nursing home, or won't Aunt so-and-so just fucking die already? I'm getting sick and tired of this dementia-riddled bat, You know what I mean? Like, that's where we live now. That's the society we live in now. This wasn't like this hundreds of years ago. Family was important. But now old people just get in the way. Like, just fucking die already. I want my inheritance. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is now. That's what it is now. So it's just an observation. So that's why it gets under my skin when people are like, firemen. I know a lot of firemen will tell me that I don't want to hear about 9/11 was an inside job. Well, what about the firemen in New York City that said 9/11 was an inside job? What about the firemen who were there and said there were explosions coming from the buildings and then the buildings collapsed? Like, there's tons of firefighters who are documented. You can look at this. You can look at the words come out of their mouth. One after the next, after the next, after the next. Firemen. And then firemen will sit there and tell me, shut the fuck up, that's disrespectful to the victims. It's disrespectful to the victims to find out the truth about how they were victimized. Like, get the fuck out of it. Like, if you were raped, if you're a woman and you got raped by some rich politician and then you started talking about it, I mean, this happens. Look at all the women that have come out saying Bill Clinton raped them and how much they get demonized and shit on by the public for talking about Bill Clinton raped them. Like, Bill Clinton should be in prison for raping women. All these fucking women have come out and said he raped them. But instead it's the women that get chastised and crucified in public. And the rapist just keeps on raping, right? He's probably raped 20 fucking women this week. That's what he does. And he does it because of the fact that, well, I go on YouTube to be entertained. I don't want to listen to all that Epstein Island crap. I don't want to hear about Bill Clinton raping women. Well, yeah, now you're just giving him a free pass to go do it again. Because he knows he's not going to get in trouble. And if the women that he raped come out and start talking about it, they're going to be the ones being crucified by the public, not him. It's fucked up. And so when Jesus comes back, he's going to have some fucking... You think, oh, you're apathetic, you're a good person. I kept to myself. I watched the Super Bowl and drank beer while all this shit was going on. But the fact that you don't give a shit about it and that you don't want to talk about it, you don't even want to talk about it, you don't even have to do anything about it. Just educate yourself as to what's going on. You don't even want to do that. God's going to have some fucking beef with all of you people and me too. Me too, because I'm going to hear it. I'm going to hear about all the times I didn't give a shit about something that I could have done something about or helped spread the word or whatever. You know, I'm not innocent of this. So just, FYI. Here's another comment here I'm going to get into, and then this one's going to take a minute, and then I'm going to say peace out for the day. Robot Nielsen 5434. I think I don't even know. I'm just gonna read it. Why do you think Americans even care about the Tour de France, yet alone compare it to football? That's a very niche perspective you have there, Adam. And then there's a reply from Matt Payne 1435. He's too egotistical to care what the masses what to talk about. He only cares about himself and the 5 other people that watch the Tour de France. Who cares? Okay, so you're gonna see how this all ties together here in a minute. But first of all, about 3 million people in America watch the Tour de France every year. It was probably a lot higher when Lance Armstrong was the guy. It was definitely more popular. It was on the prime time on cable. It was much easier to watch when he was dominating that race every year. But it's 3 million people are watching it. So it's not small. If 2 million people watched a show, that would be significant. It's a smaller audience compared to other sporting events in America. And of course, the race is more popular in Europe, where the numbers are a lot higher. But like, that's some ignorant fucking, that goes right along with what I'm talking about with like apathy, or Americans thinking that they're the best in the world and nobody else matters but us. Because the Tour de France is the second highest watched televised event in the entire world. The FIFA World Cup soccer matches, especially the playoffs and the finals, get 5 billion viewers worldwide. 5 billion viewers. Okay? The Super Bowl is probably the most watched televised event in the United States, and the 2025 Super Bowl attracted a record of 127.7 million viewers. It is the most popular program of all time in the United States. 128 million viewers. Okay, the Tour de France draws 3.5 billion viewers worldwide. So it's the second most popular thing in the world. In the world. You know, there's the United States, and then there's this whole thing called the world, where all these other people live. And there's billions of people. There's like 9 billion people now in this world. I think it's like 8 billion now. And in the United States, there's like 350 million of the 8 billion. So we're not even that. China has a lot more people than us. So there are other things going on in the world on any given day than what's going on here in America. So that's just some ignorant shit right there. In 2023, the Tour de France set a record in France, 42.5 million viewers in France. So, and France is a lot smaller country than America. 42.5 million viewers in France, but it is the Tour de France. So that is their Super Bowl. You know, that's just as popular in France. If it's, in fact, per capita, it's probably bigger in France than the Super Bowl is in America. If you count all the people that stand on the side of the road in France just to watch bikers go across the, and then that's it, it would probably be enough people to fill every single NFL stadium in the country, and still not have room for them all. But it just, you know, it just tells me, I've known a lot of foreigners throughout my life from all over the world. And I'm talking all over the world. I've met people from everywhere. From Mexico, Latin America, Honduras, Africa, Uganda, like countries in Africa like South Africa, Uganda. I've met people from China, from Japan, from all over Europe, France, England. I've met people from all over the world throughout my life, and they all say the same thing about America. That everybody in the world hates America. They don't hate us, but the one thing they hate about America, especially when they come here, is this whole America-centric, we're the best and everybody else in the world sucks, and we're the only people on the entire planet that matter. Like, there's this attitude in America. Every single person who has ever come here that I've ever met in my life from another country, and it goes all the way back to when I was a little kid to being 50 years old, they all say the same thing, that, you know, America, every place on earth has good and bad things about it, but this whole attitude that America is the best and we're the only people on earth that matter, attitude that Americans have, is despised by everybody else on earth. They all hate that about this country. And you're not the best. We're not the best. We're not the best in so many fucking ways we can't even count. But most of you fucking ignorant ass Americans won't bother to look these facts up because you just think you're better than everybody. I mean, do you lazy motherfuckers who are bitching about how I should be talking about football instead of cycling, do any of you lazy pieces of shit play football? Or does your 400-pound fat ass just sit in a recliner next to a 100-foot wide TV in your tiny little living room of your trailer with a bowl of cheese curds and a bucket of beer sitting next to you while you yell and scream at athletes on a TV and yell and scream at coaches about everything that they did wrong during the game? During the game while you sit on your fat ass eating cheese curds and drinking beer? Even though you're the expert and the people playing the game don't know what the fuck they're doing? Like, is that what we're doing? But I'm the egocentric one, according to these people. When's the last time any of you fucking football fans played football? When's the last time you played football? Fucking flag football. When's the last time you went out and threw a fucking football, for crying out loud? That's probably the closest any of you have been to a football field. I mean, at least I play the sport that I watch. I get back from 50 miles of bicycling and I sit down and then I watch professionals ride their bikes. Compare my stats with their stats, see where I'm at. I mean, I can say that Jonas Vingegaard should get off his ass and try to take the lead in the Tour de France from Tadej Pogacar. I can yell and scream at the TV if I wanted to, which I don't, but I do have opinions about what somebody should do. But I also know that riding your bicycle 2,700 miles in a month, racing at an average of 33 miles an hour it's pretty fucking hard to do. So, I mean, I struggle to try and shave 10 minutes off of my time to get to the bakery or back. That's a struggle to shave 10 minutes off of a 25-mile ride. I mean, I used to watch the World Cup, but I really didn't care. I care about I don't give a shit about it. It's just fun to watch. I really don't. I give about as much of a shit about who wins the World Cup as I do about who wins the Super Bowl. Like zero. I don't care. But then I would have soccer matches coming up during the week. You know, maybe an indoor soccer match on Thursday and an outdoor soccer match on Sunday, depending on where the seasons overlap each other. The end of the fall season bleeds into the beginning of the indoor winter soccer season, but I'm playing soccer. So it's different when you play the sport that you watch on TV. I have more respect for someone who watches golf on TV on Saturday and then goes to play a round of golf on Sunday than I have for you fucking NFL armchair quarterbacks who sit on your ass watching football on Sunday, and then you sit on your ass all week talking about everything that the football players did wrong. But it's this egocentric, I'm egocentric, right? That's what the comment says, so it must be true. But it's the same attitude as you get in places like Texas or New York. These are the two states. Not only have I met people from all over the world, I meet people from all over the United States. You don't see people from Massachusetts going around, I'm from Massachusetts, bitch. Massachusetts, yeah. You see that in prison. At the Chow Hall, there's a table for every group. And it's the most prison is the most racist and segregated thing it's beyond your wildest imagination. Not only would there be a table for people from Massachusetts, but then there would be different seats and groups of seats for where you're from in Massachusetts. Are you from Worcester? Are you from Boston? Are you from the Cape or whatever? If you're this side of Mass or that side of Mass, your seat at the table is dependent on where you're from, whether you're black or white, whether you're Hispanic, and then if you're Hispanic, there's different groups, and it's crazy. But in the world outside of all that bullshit, I don't see people walking around going, Iowa, motherfucker, I'm from Iowa, I'm better than you. But New York, oh fuck, New York, they're all like that. I'm from New York, I know, I grew up in that shit. You're brainwashed your whole life if you grew up anywhere in New York State to believe that people from New York are the best and everybody else is shit, and that you're lucky that you got to grow up in New York because you won God's lottery and you were blessed with growing up in the Empire State. Same with Texas. Everybody I meet from Texas has that fucking attitude. I'm from Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Texas is the best. You know, blah, blah, that hillbilly bullshit. Fuck you, Texas. You're not the best by far. You are. This is a fucked up state. Texas, New York. You don't see people from Pennsylvania doing that. Pennsylvania, bitch. No, you don't see that. You see it in New York and Texas all day long. California, not really. I mean, everybody I ever meet from California is just laid back. I mean, there's liberals, but when you, I mean, yeah, you got crazy people everywhere. But I'm telling you, I've met a lot of people from California. Pretty much, they all have this same mellow, laid back attitude. I don't know how to explain it. If you either know what I'm talking about or you don't. But New York, Texas, every single time I meet somebody from one of those states, they think they're badass and they think they're better than everybody else because of where they grew up. And then if you're in New York State, there's two different New Yorks. You got New York City and the rest of New York. And the New York City people have that attitude times 100. I'm from New York City, bitch. I'm the best. I'm better than you because I grew up in New York. I grew up on the streets of the Bronx, bitch. Right? And then within New York City, there's going to be the different boroughs. And that each borough has their own fucking attitude about, I'm from the best borough. And so, like, it's this whole, like, this is something Americans do. And foreigners come here and they're like, yeah, every single fucking one of them I've ever met in my life all say the same thing, that they can't, that people outside of America can't stand that shit about America. The Woodlands. These douchebags in the fucking suburbs of the Woodlands here in Texas, it's the same thing. They all think that they're better than everybody else around them because they're in the Woodlands. I'm on the fucking bike trail on Monday, coming home. I decided to take the laid-back bike ride home through the bicycle paths of the Woodlands, which I knew what I was going to be getting into before I did it. So I was like, but I didn't feel like, I just wanted to pass the time and do something different and just mix it up a little bit to kind of take my mind off of the time it takes me to get home. And so that can do that for me. So I'm on the bicycle paths through the Woodlands, and there's this fucking douchebag walking his dog, and he's taking up the whole path, the entire width of the path. And I'm pretty far back, and so I start dinging my bell. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. This motherfucker just, no fucking clue. Just, these people, they are so full of themselves that nobody else in the world matters but them. So you see where I'm going with this? There's a theme to this video. This guy didn't give a fuck. I could have been coming, he was going the same direction as me, but I could have been coming from the opposite direction. We could have made eye contact, and he wouldn't have fucking given a shit or moved out of the way or anything. I'm supposed to get out of his way because he's more important than me because he lives in the Woodlands, of course. So I just sat there with my bell. I rang my bell 25 fucking times. Ching, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And I'm going slow. And I'm slowing down for him. Just move out of the fucking way. There's a whole fucking bike lane with 2 fucking sides to it. Just get off to the fucking side. Let somebody go past you. Nope, he just takes up the whole fucking width. Him and his dog. Most people will get out of the way, move over, and give you enough room. I'm not saying get off the trail. I'm saying move over a little bit. Usually when I come up behind somebody, I'll ring the bell in advance, just so I'm not freaking them out or having to yell. And most people will be like, and then I'll be like, have a good day, good morning, good afternoon, how you doing? Just friendly. And and I would say a majority of the people will, smile, wave. We all be respectful to each other. But a lot of these people that live in that fucking neighborhood are just self-centered, entitled, rich cocksuckers who don't think anybody else matters but them. And this was one of them. 25 fucking times on the bell and this dude will not move. So I'm like, fuck it. I just blast by him. Right next to him. Almost brushed my shoulder up against him. Just like, get the fuck out of the way, you fucking scumbag. And then he starts yelling at me and getting all shitty with me. I'm like, then move out of the way, you fucking self-centered piece of shit. Get the fuck out of the way. Like, I gave you plenty of fucking warning that I'm coming. This is a shared trail. People come and go. This is a public thing. Have the courtesy to give room for other people. That would be like me riding right down the middle of the fucking bike trail with my arms all wide, and just if there's other people coming the other way, just be like, fuck you. Or if somebody's behind me and wants to pass and I'm like actively trying to block them. Just because I'm a scumbag. Like, that's exactly what this guy was doing. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make your day fucking, I'm gonna give you something to talk about when you get home, you fucking dirtbag. And yeah, he got all pissy with me. Oh, you almost hit my dog. Well, then move! You fucking asshole. I can't count how many times other people tell me that they hate the people that live in the woodlands. I hear this all the time. It's funny. But I get it. I mean, I know somebody who lives in the woodlands. And she says, I didn't grow up there, but I live there now. And she goes, I can instantly tell. She told me that she can instantly tell the difference within like 1 or 2 sentences out of someone's mouth. The difference between people who grew up in the woodlands and live there and people who moved there and didn't grow up there. Because the woodlands is like this rich, affluent fucking neighborhood, and it's a complete isolated bubble. It's a complete bubble in and of itself, where they live in their own little bubble, and nothing outside of that bubble matters to any of them. And then inside the bubble, it's just a big competition of who can be the richest cocksucker in town, and who has the nicest car and the biggest house and all that fucking shit. And it's all status at that point, and it's just a competition of who has status and who doesn't, right? But it's like that movie, The Village. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, The Village. M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong, whatever the fuck his name is, made this movie called The Village. It's fucking brilliant. It's a great movie. But there's another neighborhood like that in Florida. It's called The Villages. I mean, what the fuck? That's like the perfect name for a place like that. Except in Florida, The Villages, the wall that goes around the entire village, the village, just like the movie, the wall's white instead of natural wood. But it's the same shit. It's just a rich douchebag community of a bunch of people who are full of themselves, all decided to live next door to each other and build a giant wall around their neighborhood so nobody can come in and bother them. And then they live inside that bubble, and that's their world. They don't know what's going on outside of the bubble, and inside the bubble, it's just, a competition to see who could be the biggest rich cocksucker in the bubble. And then, if you're not from the bubble, then you're nobody. You don't matter. It's that same concept. If you're not an American, you don't matter. It's that same. So like we have these bubble in Jamestown, New York. There's the Chautauqua Institution. It's the same fucking thing, except it's like ultra bubble community. Just a bunch of rich assholes that have a bunch of $1 million homes on this lake surrounded by a giant stone wall, and that's their bubble, and they live in that bubble, and they think they're the center of the fucking universe. and they show up for 3 months out of the year and spend their summers in those homes, and they drive around town in their fucking Lamborghinis, telling everybody in town, I'm important and you're just a piece of shit. And that's how they treat everybody in Jamestown. They just treat everybody like shit. They walk around and prance around town like they're the most important people on earth and nobody else matters. It's that same thing, but I'm not saying it's unique to America, but as a country, America does this. America just goes stomping around the fucking globe telling everybody how fucking awesome we are and how shitty you are. And it's like, if it really came down to it, 350 million people versus whatever 8 billion is minus 350 million, not more than 7.5 billion people against 300 million, who's gonna win? I mean, it's duh. So you gotta watch out, because if you piss everybody off and they all come after us, we're not gonna make it. But, these people who leave these fucking comments, they act as if it's my responsibility to make you happy. Like, and I don't know if I could be any more obvious. I think I've been obvious from day one on this channel. That I don't give a fuck about how you feel. I don't. I have it too. I have apathy. I don't give a fuck about how you feel. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Customer service is not job number one here on this channel. I'm just going to do what I do. So is not giving a fuck about your feelings egocentric? Well, fine. Then it is what it is. That's what I am. I see the numbers. I see what happens when I do this or do that. Zig instead of zag, go up instead of down, whatever. I see it. Google doesn't lie with the numbers. They show you exactly what you're doing and what happens. But the people that say the same thing happens. Everybody who leaves the troll comments, the douchier they are, the less influence they actually have in the world, because none of these people, the people who are like the trolls that I kicked off the channel, have absolutely no followers, no social media influence, no, they probably don't even have friends in real life. And all they can do is troll, leave a shitty comment on someone's video, on someone's social media post, and get buried in the comments. That they live for that and that alone. I'm not talking about you, Dave. Don't worry about it, because he's got his own. Go check out his channel. He's got a good channel. He talks about some cool shit. He's got some things going on there. I watch your videos from time to time. I don't watch. There's nobody out there who I 100% watch every single thing that they post. So, but I do check out. I do find my way to your channel from time to time, especially if I see a title that catches. Oh, I'll add that to my playlist for the day. But yeah, speaking of the tour, going back to the Tour de France, we know America hates bicycles. America hates bicyclists. If a cyclist gets run over on YouTube, go to the comments. 75% of the comments are going to be happy. Motherfucker deserved it. Those fucking cyclists deserve to die. That motherfucker should have been run over a long time ago. Blah, blah, blah. I hate those fucking cyclists. Yada, yada, yada. But it wasn't always that way here in America. Back in the 1890s, before people had cars, the bicycle was a big deal in America, because now you could get around and you didn't need a horse. The car came out and the bicycle was still those early cars, when the car came out, it was still better to have a bicycle than to drive a fucking car, because those chitty chitty bang bang cars, that Model T Ford was a piece of shit, and it was going to break down, and you still had to have money in the bank to get one of those things until they became, mass produced and mainstream. A bicycle was your ticket. The Wright brothers, the first dudes that built a plane and flew a plane, what did they own? They owned a bicycle shop. They got enough money to put together a plane and be the first people to fly an airplane because they owned a bicycle shop, not an automobile shop, a fucking bicycle shop. Okay? Wright brothers. Freaking back in the 1890s, Los Angeles. Think about riding a bicycle in Los Angeles today. You're basically, people would think you're trying to commit suicide if you decided to go for a bicycle ride in LA. Kind of like Houston. But back in those days, Los Angeles built dedicated bicycle roads for bicycles only. There was a bike lane that went all the way from Pasadena into downtown LA, and it was bicycles only. No horses, no cars, bicycles. Men would get all dressed up in their suits, and the women would wear their frilly dresses to go on bicycle rides, and it was a major thing back then. If you ever wondered why a woman's bike, like a man's bike, has the top tube going like that, then the seat tube, or then the down tube, and then the seat tube like a triangle, but a woman's bike has the seat tube, and then both of the bars come up from the bottom. The reason why that's a woman's bike, because sometimes, when we were growing up, when us boys were growing up, we're like, why is that the girl's bike and the ball breaker is for the men? You fall off that bike seat, pow! You might not be able to have children when you grow up. We always thought maybe they should have made it the other way around. For, especially if you're riding a bike that was too big for you, which a lot of kids did in the 80s. Because, your parents would be like, little Johnny, he'll grow into that. And then, but for now, don't fall off that seat. Or you're not gonna, you're gonna have, a lot of the BMX bikes had pads there for a reason. Well, the reason why a woman's bike, the bar is so low, is because women used to wear dresses when they'd ride a bicycle, or skirts. And back then, they weren't, wearing, vagina pants and, skirts that only come down to, halfway down their ass. They wore skirts and dresses that were at least down to their knees. And so you can't ride a bicycle unless the bar is out of the way. So that's why women's bikes were designed the way that they were designed, and that's why that's why a woman's bike is that and a man's bike is that. And really, that's kind of gone away over the last few decades as people are educated about that. Bicycle shops will educate people but they'll still, the cheap bikes, the suburban, the people that ride on the bike paths and shit like that, you can still get women's frames bikes, but that's kind of like gone the wayside. On a high-end bike, anything above $500, good luck, you're not going to find that. But back then, before the cars came along, the bicycle was the symbol of freedom and mobility for America. Tons of people. In 1897, all right, the Tour de France started in 1903, but in 1897, the United States Army tested out whether bicycles could replace horses in battle. And they sent the Buffalo Soldiers on a 1,900-mile bicycle ride expedition from Montana to St. Louis on steel bikes with single-speed fixed gears, which means that you're always pedaling. No, they didn't have coaster, hubs that you could back pedal or coast back then. And they took these bikes over rivers, mountain passes, dirt roads, all kinds of terrain, carrying all kinds of camping gear and everything that they would need to carry as a soldier on the bike packing. And they went they basically proved that you can go all the way across America on a bicycle, even back then. And in the early 1900s, it would have been faster to take a bicycle across America than to take a fucking car. I don't know. There's a documentary called Horatio's Drive. I made my son watch it one day because we were going on a road trip, and I was like, "Yeah, you think that? You think our road trip takes a long time? Look at this guy. First guy that drove his car across the country, coast to coast. He started in San Francisco and wound up in New York City. Took 63 days, 12 hours and 30 minutes to be the first person to drive a car across America. Took 63 days to drive across the country. He could have done that on a bike quicker. Probably. I mean, it would have been a good race if somebody started on a bicycle the same day he started in a car. The bicycle would have won. No doubt in my mind, the guy on the bicycle would have won. Like I said, the Tour de France started in 1903, but the army was trying out bicycles and making soldiers go on cross-country bike rides all loaded down with their shit in the 1800s just to try it out, just see how it goes. Well, they didn't. They proved it's possible to cross the U.S. on a bicycle, but they didn't use the idea in battle. I mean, they figured, horse is probably better, and then and eventually tanks, but armored carriers and everything else that they've come up with. But they tried it out. Back in the day, the most famous cyclist in the entire world was a black dude named Marshall Major Taylor. And he was a track bicyclist. So track racing, cycling tracks were all over the United States. They were all over the world. It was a huge sport back then. Bicycle races on these big tracks, the velodromes, would attract just as many spectators to watch something like that as an NFL game would get today. They had stadiums for bicycle racing back in the day. And this black dude, Marshall Major Taylor, was the most famous bicyclist in the world. American. He was the first black guy to become a world champion. He set 7 world records. He raced on bicycle tracks all over the world, packed with thousands of people on a regular basis. He went through all the same shit that all the black athletes went through about, well, you can't play here because you're black, and all the same thing that the black baseball players, the Negro leagues, and all that fucking bullshit. He had to go through all the same fucking racist bullshit that all the other black athletes had to go through. And but he was the most famous cyclist in the world, and bicycling was huge in America. In 1939, a 17-year-old girl named Ruth Orkin set off from Los Angeles to New York trying to get to the World's Fair. And she was carrying a camera with her. She hitchhiked for about 1,000 miles, then she got a bicycle and rode the remaining 2,000 miles to get to New York on her bicycle. Carrying a camera with her. She ended up becoming a famous photographer. But it all started with that trip, just random, I want to go to New York. How am I going to get there? Well, I'll hitchhike. Well, this isn't working out. How about I get a bicycle and I'll finish the ride on my bike? Boom, she did it. 2,000-mile ride on a bike. 17-year-old girl back in 1939, and that bike was probably a total piece of shit compared to what you get now. A $200 bike now would be way better than the thing she was riding. But then America just became obsessed with cars to the point where they just shoved the bicycles completely off the table. Called it a stupid toy that shouldn't be on the road, and zero effort to accommodate for bicycles. America can't even have fucking sidewalks anymore. Cars basically mandatory, especially out here in the suburbs. There's no fucking sidewalk. I walk through residential neighborhoods that don't have fucking sidewalks because these fucking lazy pieces of shit are so fucking lazy that they'll drive to go see their next door neighbor instead of walking to the house next door. They're that fucking retarded now. This is why you have roads in Texas like Route 45 with 12 fucking lanes, 6 lanes going south, 6 lanes going north, and then on the side of the highway you've got 6 lanes going this way and 6 lanes going the other way as the access road. So you've basically got a 24 lane wide road cutting right through the fucking neighborhood, but If you're riding a bike, you can go fuck yourself. Just go die, you fucking piece of shit. If you want to walk across the river, fuck you. Fuck you, you fucking walking piece of shit. You don't get to fucking go across the river, you fucking piece of walking asshole shit. We'll build 24 fucking lanes for cars to go across this river, but fuck you if you're on a bike. Fuck you to hell if you're walking. Fuck you, America. This is America. You don't fucking walk. You don't ride a bike. This is America, you motherfucker. You walking piece of shit. Fuck you. Go die. That's what it is. That's how we got there. It's fucking bullshit. You got enough money to build a 24 lane wide road going across a fucking river over a bridge, and you can't put a fucking sidewalk on it. You can't put a fucking path so someone can ride their bike across it. What if you live on the other side of the river and you're trying to get to something right across the river? You can't fucking do it. I mean, you can, but you might die. You might die. People are gonna be honking at you, screaming at you, throwing shit at you, trying to swerve into you, run you off the fucking road. Like, it's a fucking nightmare. Every time I gotta go across that particular bridge, I gotta be ready for battle. Like, I need to start carrying a hammer and a can of bear spray. Like, smash the window with a hammer, put the bear spray at the driver. It's getting to that level here. I'm on probation, so I can talk about that. Maybe that might be something you would have to do to protect yourself, but I'm not gonna go and do something like that. But we might be there. America it's filled with the fattest, laziest pieces of football watching shit in the whole world. We're the fattest people on earth. We're the laziest, fattest slobs on the face of the earth, and all these fat pieces of shit in their giant pickup trucks with their bald eagle on the back window. They all think they're better than everybody. You couldn't even the cops are too fat to chase down a crook because they're all fat. Oh my God. Americans are the only people on earth that don't call football. That are like, well, we already have our football that you throw with your hands and catch. Everybody else, they kick a ball with their feet and they call it football. Fucking idiots. Yeah, we call it soccer because why? Why couldn't you come up with another name for football? You fucking assholes. Fuck America. You're not the best. America, you're not the best. That's for fucking sure. You're good at some things. You're really good at some things. People like to come here. People like to move here. There's a reason for that. You're good at some stuff, but you're not the best. You're not the best. Nobody on earth, no country on earth can say that they're the best. There's good and bad everywhere you go. There are places I would never want to live, but I'll visit. Washington, D.C. It's like one of the worst fucking places in America, if not the world. Washington, D.C. is a fucking dump. It's horrid. It's a horrible place. Would I go there and visit? Yeah, I've been there many times. You find fun things to do, you can have a good time. Never in my life would I ever want to live there. If I was if you elected me to Congress, I would not want to live there. I would find a way to not live there and still be in Congress. I don't want to live in that fucking shithole. But there are good things and bad things everywhere you go. West Virginia, I would live there. I would live in West Virginia. They make a lot of jokes. Kentucky, West Virginia. You can live there without having to marry your cousin. It's beautiful, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do. I wouldn't want to live in Kentucky. I wouldn't want to live there, but I visit many times. Good and bad. There's good and bad everywhere you go. New York City, hell no. Never. There's good and bad. Chicago, 150 people in a weekend get shot in Chicago. It doesn't even make the news. Because they, I don't know how it happens. Guns are illegal in Chicago. How are all these people getting shot? I don't know. But it happens every weekend. 50 people get shot in Chicago. guns are illegal, though. I mean, it's impossible. But I mean, even the Bible says nowhere is good. Nobody's good. We're all falling apart, and eventually the whole thing's just going to unravel and fall apart to where, and we're going to be ruled over worldwide by one tyrant who finally finds his way to the top of the pyramid to rule over the entire planet. And that's when Jesus is going to have to, he's going to have to come down from the sky and save us from it. So whenever, I don't know when, nobody knows when, but that's the direction we're going. I hope that when the apocalypse comes, that I mean, if it comes like next week, that would be fine with me. If I'm still stuck riding around on a bicycle to get everywhere when there's an economic collapse and under our Republican Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, and gas is all of a sudden $8 to $10 a gallon, and like it is over in France, and maybe that's why they like bicycles so much. Gas is $8 a gallon in France. You might need a fucking bicycle. It's not going to have any effect on me. I'm still going to keep on keeping on. It won't have an effect on me until the price of gas goes up, the price of everything goes up, because of, it costs money to take the food to the store. So so it'll affect us all, but ain't gonna hurt me if there's lines at the gas pump like Jimmy Carter days where, if your license plate ends in a 2, you can get gas on Tuesday, like all that kind of shit. Ain't gonna hurt me none. Bicycling in America. The only thing that really kept bicycling from completely leaving America 100% was the advent and the invention of the mountain bike in California, of all places. Mountain biking started to become pretty big in America when I was in high school. I got into it. I started racing. I loved mountain bike racing. I hated road racing. After I started getting into the mountain bike crowd, I didn't want anything to do with the road bike crowd. They're a bunch of douchebags. And everybody at the mountain bike races, it was like a big party. Everybody was cool as shit. It's a totally different crowd. But even regular people started buying mountain bikes or hybrids, the people from the suburbs and all that shit. The road bicycles almost disappeared in America. You would go to a bicycle shop, it's full of hybrids and mountain bikes, and then in the back corner there's a little tiny row of some road racing bikes or road bikes with drop handlebars. And but people, I mean, it makes sense. If you can only buy one bike and you're not a regular biker and you don't have, I have reasons for the bikes I have. I could choose between a mountain bike or a road bike when I came here from Pittsburgh. I had to choose one or the other. I chose the road bike because it's transportation. Mountain bike is the one you want when you need like the indestructible. It can go anywhere, but it may not be the fastest way to get there, but you might need to go off-road to get there. Like, that's what you want. But for like a general purpose, all around, you just want to go for a bike ride, but you're not trying to get anywhere by a certain time. Mountain bike. First time I rode from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., I rode a mountain bike. Didn't ride, now I take a road bike. The bike trail that goes from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., the Great Allegheny Passage and the C&O Canal Trail, you can ride a road bike on those. I would suggest wider tires with a little bit of tread, and not skinny tire like you're in a road race. Something with a little bit of bite, because they are dirt trails. They're packed limestone and dirt, and they do get muddy and slippery, but a little bit of, you don't need much tread. The Red Rocket, my red road bike, my touring bike, I've done that ride many times on that bike. First time I did it was on a mountain bike for comfort more than anything. But speed, you're not going to go as fast. Mountain bike is the best all-around bike if you're only going to have one bike and that's all you're ever going to have, I would always say go get a mountain bike, not a mountain bike with shocks, like a hardtail rigid fork mountain bike, or a front fork that's going to be low maintenance. If you want a suspend, don't get the rear suspension. You're just in for a world of maintenance and bullshit. If it's your only bike, like, you get something that's bomb proof, like a mid 1990s mountain bike with no front suspension and with no shocks is about the most indestructible thing there is. I would love to have like an original stump jumper or something like that in my collection and just ride a vintage mountain bike around town. That, because it's not like nothing's gonna break. The thing's 40 years old. It's not gonna break now. So, but before Lance Armstrong came around, mountain biking became an American thing. Like, that was an American sport. That was America's bicycling right there. Nobody else was doing it. It did go overseas. I mean, they do have trails. They have mountains in France called the Alps, the Pyrenees. There are places all over the world to go mountain biking, but it started here, and it didn't catch on over there as fast. Now it's worldwide. Everywhere you go, people are on mountain bikes, but before Lance Armstrong, road bicycling was sleek and fast and elitist and European, and mountain biking was America, rough and dirty and dangerous and all of it. But mountain biking is probably the biggest reason why all the road bikes have evolved so crazy over the last few years. Lance Armstrong got people interested in riding road bicycles again, road racing and all that. While he was cheating his way through the Tour de France, the road racing made a comeback. Road bicycles started to make a comeback. Touring bikes, city bikes, hybrid road slap. There's so many different kinds of bicycles now. But most of the biggest innovations in cycling came from mountain biking. Disc brakes, bigger tires, tubeless tires with no inner tubes, like a car tire. Carbon fiber frames came from America. I think Trek Trek made the first carbon fiber production bike. Now all high-end road bikes are carbon fiber. But all that shit is American. All the innovations in cycling came from America. If it wasn't for America, road bikes would still be the same shit Greg LeMond was riding on in the Tour de France, more or less. But now it's kind of gone, road bikes have kind of gone in a different direction because of all the technology. Mountain biking did the same thing. Mountain biking started to get crazy. The mountain bikes of the late 2000 or the mid 90s to 2000 are completely 100% different in every possible way from a mountain bike 10 years later. They took a huge jump in technology, but the road bikes really didn't. And then all of a sudden, all that technology transformed to the road bikes, and now the road bikes are just a completely different world now. But they're so expensive that whenever I see people riding road bikes now, it's always a group of rich assholes in the woodlands. It's guaranteed. It's just a bunch of rich assholes in the woodlands who make more than $100,000 a year out on their weekend warrior training ride to practice for the Woodlands Douchebag Classic Bicycle Race that happens every summer. But overall, ever since the whole Lance Armstrong fall from grace, the big American cycling races have all vanished. Like all the big road races, all the big stage races. There were races in America that would draw all the European professionals to come over here and race. The same riders in the Tour de France would come over here and compete. I think Tadej Pogačar won the Tour of California in his early days. He just won the Tour de France for the fourth time. He was racing in California here. I mean, we had races here in America that attracted world-class talent to come here. Now it's like, gone. Nobody's doing that shit anymore. Road bicycling is now, it's once again, it's become a snobby, elitist sport. Over in Europe, they hate America again. They've always kind of hated American cyclists over there in Europe in these European world class races. Like Greg LeMond, there's 180 some odd riders in the Tour de France. It was Greg LeMond against 180 people. Even the people on his own team would fight against him and race against him. They just wanted to get him out of there. Metallica dude in the Tour de France, Quinn Simmons, he gets his share of hate. He's getting shit on every day he's in that race. They've always hated America, but now because of Lance Armstrong, they hate the Americans even more to a degree. But everybody was cheating. So it's kind of like, why do you hate? They hate America because we were the best at cheating. Mountain biking, back to that. It's a worldwide sport now. But even at the racing level, it's a rich kid's sport again. And bicycling's accessible to everybody. I mean, a $200 bike will get you in the game. You can go out and have a blast. My Silver Bullet was $300, I think, and my red Cannondale was $100. And the Cannondale came with enough stuff that I could sell that I made 100. I sold the stuff that it came with for $200. So essentially, I got paid $100 to have a bike. But new for America. Bicycling now, the new trend, the trendy thing is a gravel bike. Like, you just take a bunch of combination of parts and shit, and you make a new bike, and now it's a new kind of biking. There's so many different styles of bikes. It would take me 2 hours to list them all, and this video is already going to be 2 hours. But the new trend here in America is gravel bikes, which is basically a road bike. They called them something else back in the day, but my mind cannot latch on to what it was. Because people would show up to mountain bike rides with these things. And it wasn't a cyclocross bike, and it wasn't a gravel bike. It was called something else, but it's basically a mountain bike with drop handlebars. So a gravel bike is basically a road bike with bigger wheels, not quite mountain bike size tires, but tires with treads, but it's basically a road bike meant for going on like dirt roads and gravel roads. Gravel, exactly what it says. Gravel bike racing is a thing now. It's gotten so big that they had a gravel bike stage in the Tour de France in 2024, racing on gravel dirt roads for a day. So they all had to have their special gravel bikes to do that race that day. But here in America, there's a lot of resurgence in going back to the roots. There's a lot of ultra long distance races that aren't sanctioned, that are just show up at this place at a certain time, and we're going to go from here to there, and whoever wins, you're badass, and you get no prizes, and you get your name on a website. Just like that Crush the Commonwealth ride that I've talked about, going from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia or Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. They do it every year. I think I did that race when it was 2007, I believe. And I think they've done it 3 times. Maybe that may have been the 3rd time they did it. They've been doing it every year since. But now there's a lot more races like that. That's the kind of race like, you're not getting followed by a team car. You're not gonna have, a team car carrying all your food and your drinks and extra bicycles and extra wheels and all that. No, you've got to get from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, and if you get a flat tire, you got to fix that shit yourself. You got to fix your own bike. You got to carry the stuff with you that you need. You can't have somebody drive next to you in a car, all that kind of crap. Like the self-reliance kind of bike racing is becoming a little bit more popular here in America. And I could see Maybe I'm in training. Maybe God is forcing me to do what I'm doing right now and live the way I am, because maybe that kind of bike racing will become popular here in America to the point where I can whoop these kids' asses, because that's basically how I've been living for the last couple of years. And racing like that is not about pure speed. It's about a combination of endurance and having know-how and being able to, in certain cases, navigation skills, like an alley cat race, a checkpoint race, where you show up to the start line, everybody's handed out a list of checkpoints, and you have to know where these things are, or you have to find them really fast and have a map or something to figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. You do typically at an alley cat race, you get a little bit of time to plan. Everybody gets handed the list of checkpoints, and then you've got whatever, it could be an hour, it could be 20 minutes to figure out how you're going to do it in your head. And then you've got to know how to get from point A to B to Z to this and that and the other thing. They're all different, but it's a style of racing. It's not the same as like a Tour de France professional race. So all these underground kind of races are starting to pop up all over the place. And I could see, I was in an alley cat race in Erie where old people were signing up, like middle-aged women from the suburbs were signing up to be in the race. They weren't like trying to win. They were just out to have fun. Me and a girlfriend I had at the time, we stumbled upon it. We didn't go out thinking we were going to be in a bike race. We just went out for a bike ride. We were staying at a beach house. We ended up riding by this. There was all these bicycles gathered around a table, and we're like, what the fuck's going on here? They're like, oh, we're having a bike race. Bike race? What's going on? Alley cat race. No shit. Look over at the girl. She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, that's what we're doing today. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm like, I hope you don't. She's like, no, I know I'm not going to see you for the next 4 hours, but I'll find a group of old ladies or whatever. I'll find friendship and companionship while you're out doing your thing. Don't worry about it. Cool chick. We had a good time. After the race, we met a lot of cool people. We had a good time. There was a festival, bands, all kinds of crazy stuff going on in this park. And it turned into like, we were gone from like 8 in the morning. We didn't come rolling back until like almost sunset in the middle of July. And people are like, where the hell were you two all day? Well, we were in a bike race and all. But anyway, that's kind of stuff is happening all over the country. And, like unlike the Tour de France and an alley cat race, you can go from the back of the pack to being out in front of everybody because you knew how to cut an angle off of, I did that one time specifically. All the riders were going north on this one street to make a left-hand turn and start heading west down another street. Well, I know that there's I used to live in this neighborhood, so I know that there's a footpath right here that starts here, and it cuts right across this park. And then the park has a paved pathway. So I cut, basically, if we're talking, look at your screen. If we start down here, all the riders are going up here, and then they're going this way. I just went this way, cut the angle off, and went from one corner to the opposite corner, and all of a sudden I'm out in front of them, and they're at the end of the race, they're like, how the fuck did you do that? You were at the back of the pack, and all of a sudden we go around the corner and you're way ahead of us. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I roll. And but they didn't know about the little shortcut that I knew about, because I've been taking, I lived there for a year. So I used to walk that way all the time to get back and forth from downtown. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get these guys right here. And I just went beep off the back of the pack and then booked it as hard as I could through the park, came out the other side. Now I'm way ahead of everybody. I was the first one to get to the next checkpoint. And that kind of shit is fun. And people enjoy doing it. And you get all kinds of people from all walks of life, and it's not just one little crowd. So I thought that was kind of cool. And there are still Americans in the game, in the sport. In 2023, a guy named Sepp Kuss, he's American, he won the Vuelta de España, the Tour of Spain. You have 3 grand tours of Europe, the Tour of Italy, the Tour de France, and the Tour of Spain. Now, the Tour of Spain is kind of an outlier. There's something called the Triple Crown of cycling, which is the Giro d'Italia, the Tour de France, and the World Championship race. And winning all 3 of those is considered the Triple Crown. And only 3 cyclists have ever done it. Tadej Pogacar, Eddie Merckx, and some other dude in the... I don't know his name. 3 people have done that in the same year, winning all 3 of those races in the same year. The Vuelta de España doesn't count as the other Triple Crown because the Tour of Spain used to be held at the same time as the Tour of Italy. And so if you got 2 of these big tours at the same time, all the big dogs are going to the Tour of Italy and all the lesser riders are going to do the Tour of Spain. And so now they've moved the Tour of Spain to August. So now you got June, July, August, each with a big bike tour. And so, but the Tour of Spain, like Tadej Pogacar decided to bail on the Tour of Spain this year because he just won the Tour de France. He's probably tired. He just wants to go home, bang his girlfriend, chill. He's got millions and millions of dollars in the bank. He lives in Monaco in probably some sort of Monaco mansion with a garage full of fancy cars, and he's living it. He's kind of probably reaching the point like, why? I just want to go have fun. I don't want to have to work. I don't want to go to work. He wants to enjoy his money. So he's not doing the Tour of Spain. So somebody else is going to get a trophy for once this year. But Sepp Kuss won the 2023 Tour of Spain. But you ain't shit in America. If you ain't first, you're last. So unless you win the Tour de France, nobody's going to know your name. Andy Hampsten won the 1985 Giro d'Italia. That was before Greg LeMond. That was a year before Greg LeMond won his first Tour de France. Nobody knows who Andy Hampsten is. He won the Tour of Italy. He was the first American cyclist to do anything over in Europe. Nobody knows who he is. Greg LeMond, people know him because he won the Tour de France. So if you didn't win that race, you're not shit in America. You can win all the American stage races and the big races in America back in the day. Nobody would know who the fuck you are. You had to go to France and win the Tour de France before anybody in America knew your name. Even if you won all the races in America. That's how fucked up that is. But back then, in the mid-'80s, the Europeans, man, they hated Americans in cycling. And they would try to sabotage these guys at every turn. And, winning that Tour of Italy was way harder for that American and the American team of 7-Eleven than any American would go through anymore. Because the level of hatred and such is not the same as it used to be. So, but Bob Roll, if ever there was a name for a professional cyclist, Bob Roll, roll on, let's roll. I mean, everybody knew what he was going to be when he grew up, I guess. He's a commentator now on NBC for the Tour de France. He probably will be the main commentator when Phil Liggett finally is no longer with us. When you look up Phil Liggett on Wikipedia and it says Phil Liggett was the cycling commentator, blah, blah, instead of Phil Liggett is a cycling commentator, then Bob Roll's going to take over. They've prepped him. They've got him in the chair right next to him. After Phil passes away, Bob Roll's going to be the guy. But he's kind of like, he's great. The guy's hysterical. He's not politically correct. He's basically just like Jeremy Clarkson on the show Top Gear, who got fired for being politically incorrect. And then Amazon, like within 24 hours, Amazon calls him up. They're like, hey, we'll give you millions of dollars if you want to come do your show here. So they just moved. They called it the Grand Tour. And Just never even skipped a beat. Bob Roll is the cycling version of Jeremy Clarkson, the politically incorrect. He don't give a shit what comes out of his mouth. Bob Roll got his start by riding with Andy Hampsten on the 7-Eleven team back in the 1985 Giro d'Italia and all those European cycling races back then. He used to race with Greg LeMond. Back in the day, Bob Roll was in the Tour de France with Greg LeMond. He tells stories all the time about it. But there are whole Reddit forums full of pissed off liberals because Bob Roll said something offensive and triggered all the snowflakes, and then they had to go to Reddit and cry about it. And so he's one of my favorite people. I think he's a cool dude. Jeremy Clarkson, oh my God, nobody watches Top Gear anymore. No one gives a shit about Top Gear anymore. Jeremy Clarkson and Richard Hammond and James May, they made that show. That was them. You take them away, that show doesn't exist. They should have changed the name of the show. Trying to say it, it's still Top Gear, but no, it's not. More people watched the Grand Tour on Amazon Prime than anybody ever watched Top Gear. And then finally they just said, you know what, we're too old. We're going to stop now. But in spite of getting offended by everything, one thing that I do like about the Democrats, I'm one of these people that can do, there's this thing that they used to teach us to do when I was a kid, Gen X, some of you remember this. It's called thinking for yourself, critical thinking. You listen to what these people say, and then you listen to what the other people on the other side say, and they each talk, and you listen, and you're like, okay, here's some facts. Oh, here's some other facts. Here's this, here's that. And then you go, I'm going to make up my own mind about what I think about this particular subject. So throughout my life, I've been able to be friends with Democrats and Republicans. I have some beef with you fucking Democrats, though. I mean, we know that. We've been watching. But I think I've made it clear over the last few weeks that I'm not a fan of the Republicans either. And so one thing that Democrats do that I like is that they make their cities accessible to people, kind of like they do in Europe. It's these fat fucking retarded ass pickup driving hillbilly dickheads that are making it so that we have a disconnected country and that you need a car to get anywhere. We should have an America that's connected with trains and bicycle paths and different forms of transportation. Like you can get on a train in Europe and go places and do things. You don't have to drive. Here in America, these fucking fat hillbilly assholes will drive to their neighbor's house instead of walk. Why do we need sidewalks? Seriously, and it's just, but it is, I just talked about the liberals getting offended by everything. I just talked about the douchebag Republicans who, if you walk, fuck you. Right? And this is why I hate Americans that sit on one side or the other of this political fence. I'm a Republican, so everything that I believe and do and say has to be approved. I have to look at the Republican playbook for the week. Okay, these are my opinions. This is what I'm talking about this week. Okay, so I'm opposed to bike lanes because fuck those queers, and I am only for big government when we're putting liberals away. Okay, so then I'm a Democrat. I still have to wear a mask in 2025. I got to make sure I got my booster shot from Dr. Fauci for this week. This week's booster shot is real important. You know what I mean? Like, you got these two different sides of people who they don't think for themselves at all. They just, whatever the playbook says this week, whatever Nancy Pelosi told them to think. How many of these boards have you seen where one Democrat posts a Twitter post and then 500 more Democrats post the exact same thing on their Twitter feed because I was told to say this week. This is what we're talking about today. This is my approved opinion. Fuck all of you people with your fucking bullshit. I swear, and the thing is, if everybody would just shut the fuck up for a minute, and if we could write down all the best things that the Republicans have and all the best things that the Democrats have and put them all on a table. Take all the best stuff here, all the best stuff there, put it all together in one package. We could have that. We could have all the best shit. And we could say, okay, let's get rid of all the bad shit and all the bad people and cast them away. And then we would be left with nothing but the good shit all on the table. We could have tons of guns. Everybody in America could have 20 fucking guns, pickup trucks, horses, cows. You could be eating steak and going hunting and all the shit, go fishing, all that stuff. And you could go on a bicycle ride, on a bicycle path, and you could ride your bicycle down the road with shoulders on the side of the road. And you could have an electric car, and you could have a Toyota Prius, and you can have a train. You could take a train from Pittsburgh to Rochester, New York. Like, that was pretty much impossible. To take a train from Pittsburgh to Rochester, New York is like 24 hours because you got to take a train to Philly, then you got to go to New York, then you got to go from New York to Buffalo, and then someone's got to pick you up at the Buffalo train station who drive out there from Rochester. It's like 24-hour trip. Or you could ride your bicycle from Pittsburgh to Rochester, New York faster than that. It's a 4-hour drive that turns into a 24-hour ride because on a train. Because we don't have trains in America. We have all these fucking cities everywhere. And in Europe, you can take a train from Paris to London. You can take a train from Paris to Madrid. Anywhere you want to fucking go, there's a train. And it goes like 300 miles an hour. It's faster to take the train. In Japan, you could go from one end of Japan to the other in like what, an hour on a 500 mile an hour train. We don't have that shit here in America. Why the fuck not? We could have the trains, the bicycles, the pickup trucks, the Prius. We could have it all. We could have everything. We could have all the good shit if everybody would just stop with this left. I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, so I don't want the good shit that you have because I'm gonna take the shit that they give me. Well, I don't want the good shit that you have because I'm a Republican and I go fishing and I'm a hillbilly and I shoot guns and drive a pickup truck. I don't want your Prius. I don't want your bicycles. Well, I don't want your meat. I want to eat like a vegan and I want to ride my bicycle and I want to drive a Prius because I care about the environment. And you know what? You can have it all. You can have it all if you just shut the fuck up. But not until you get rid of these party-following, brainwashed retards who just blindly follow these politicians and do whatever they're told for the week. They look it up on Reddit, or they go to X. Elon Musk says, I have to do this, this, and this. I have to believe this, this, and this, whatever. You get your playbook for the week, and then you go out in the world and you do whatever you were told. If Donald Trump told all the Democrats to wear a mask, you'd never see one wear a mask again. And all the Republicans will be running around with MAGA hats and masks on their face. That's how it will be. The only reason we can't have all the good shit, it's the people at the top, but the people that go along with it are the problem. The people at the top, Republican, Democrat, they don't give a fuck about what each other is. Their job is to divide and conquer the people below them so that they get to stay at the top and make all the decisions, and then they get everybody down here, us plebs, fighting with each other about dumb shit that doesn't matter. And so that's why I can't stand people who pick one of these two shitty parties and say, this is who I am, instead of thinking for themselves. Because anybody who can think for themselves would be like, they're both garbage. Why would I want either one of these? They both suck. I want a bowl of cat turds or a bowl of dog shit. They both smell like shit. Why do I gotta argue about which one smells the best? They're both turds. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And so that is my video for today. I'm already gone. I've already gone into way too much time here. But how do you say these things in 10 minutes, in a 10-minute soundbite? How are you supposed to do that? I got to talk like that guy in the 80s commercials. I talk really fast because of the comparison that tells you all the medical advice that you have to, all the things that you could get when you take a drug that Dr. Fauci gives you. It could cause a bloody stool, your leg could fall off, you got bloody eyes, you could bloody nose, and you could get diarrhea, and don't take this with any other drugs or enhancements, and blah, 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 right? I could talk like that and fit it all in, but I don't know. I'm just, like, that's why I get along with people who just don't care. Like people who are just completely ignorant, people who can't tell you who the vice president is, they don't know who the governor of Texas is, like they just don't give a shit about any of it, and they're just out living their life. I can get along with that. And I get along with the people who are totally awake, like me, who know what's going on, who read it, who know what's going on both sides. I read the Democrat news, I read the Republican news, and then I go, I'm going to make up my own mind about this shit I just read. Yeah, I can get along with all these people, but these fucking Republicans and these Democrats, traditionally throughout my life, I can associate with people, but I won't be friends with them. I cannot hang with you people, because all you're going to do is you're like evangelists that want to try and bring another sheep to the flock. And all you're trying to do is convince me that you're right and I'm wrong, and that you'll agree with me whenever I spew out one of your talking points that's on my list. I can agree with that. But then you said this other thing, and that's not on my list, and therefore you're wrong. So, yeah, we're not going to get along. So with that, that's the answer to that troll, or I don't know, that one of those comments felt like a troll comment, of the football comment. That's where it all came from. that was my answer. That's why I couldn't type a response on YouTube to that comment about why do you think Americans care about the Tour de France when all we care about is football? Because it was good, who's going to read the comment? Nobody. So you got a video for it. And with that, I'm going to say peace out. We'll talk later.